It's preparing, and then I'm going to start letting everybody in.
You're good. You're live on YouTube.
All right, here we go. Let's start the webinar. Get everybody in. All right. All right, welcome everyone. We'll give people a couple more minutes to come on in, as we did open the doors a little early this morning. And then we'll get going here. I see we have one of our esteemed colleagues out there in the audience today. I'm sure he brought his own donuts and coffee with him, Mr. Henry Hall. He probably didn't bring enough to share with the rest of the class, though. Henry's like that. So I'm sure he'll send me a text message any minute saying, hey, don't tell people I don't share. All right. He totally did. He just sent me a chat. Everybody see that? That's Henry for you. I love it. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the MachineMetrics webinar. This is Industrial Data Platform with MachineMetrics. Our panelist from MachineMetrics today is Mr. Justin Garland. He is the Director of Sales. We also have with us, as you will see from MachineMetrics, we have our marketing coordinator, Emma Mailman, and we need to make sure we have our point of contact with us, Mr. Ron Giard. He is the Business Development Advisor with MachineMetrics. And last, definitely not least, is Miss Lisa Derby-Oden. She is our Grants Program Manager. So I'd like to welcome them. You will hear a little bit from both Ron and Lisa, but obviously the biggest conversation you'll hear today will be from Justin. We do have a special guest with us today. So our special guest is Mr. Mike Tomasi. He is the president and owner of AccuRounds. He is our big manufacturing champion, is what we like to call him. And you will learn as to why he is with us today. I'm Haley Steele, I'm the marketing manager with MachineMetrics. I will be moderating the webinar today. We just want to thank you all for joining us. We are in a webinar format, so as you can see, your mics are muted, but there are ways for you to engage with us this morning. We recommend on the bottom ribbon of your Zoom panel, you'll be able to see the Q&A bubbles. There are two bubbles that are stacked on top of each other, and there's also the chat bubble. We like to say if you're going to use the chat bubble, you can use it like Henry did and send some private messages that you don't want other people to see. So if you want to use something, have something specific that you might want to target towards Justin or to Mike or to Ron or Lisa, go ahead and use the chat bubble. The Q&A bubble, though, we recommend that if you have a question, more than likely someone within the audience has a very similar question. So we strongly encourage you to use that Q&A today. Justin will be answering those questions throughout the webinar today, so it will be active for the entire hour that we are on here. As I said, we do have an hour set aside for the webinar today. We believe it is plenty of time for the content and Q&A. We will be respectful of our panelists' time and also of our attendees' time. So if for some reason we do run over and don't get the chance to answer your question live, we will be able to address your question and send the answers back to you through the email address that you provided upon your registration. We are also streaming our webinar right now on YouTube Live. So it's on our YouTube Live channel. So everybody in YouTube world out there, hello. You can access the video of this after it is over. So if for some reason you feel that someone else you may know would benefit, or if you want somebody else within your organization that couldn't attend today to watch this, we encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and it will be available for you to click on the link. So without further ado, let's begin on the industrial data platform, with MachineMetrics. So Justin, it's all yours.
Thanks very much, Haley. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So first I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Justin Garland. I'm the Director of Sales with MachineMetrics. And I want to thank MEP for putting today's webinar on and for their support in helping manufacturers empower the workforce, specifically here in the New England area, and partnering with MachineMetrics to promote digital transformation across the industry. I also wanted to mention that we're going to have an upcoming webinar on July 20th, running 1 to 2 p.m. That's Eastern time. And what we're going to be doing there is revisiting the latest manufacturing trends. It's the next chapter in our State of the Industry series. So for that episode, we'll be joined by Chief Economist of the National Association of Manufacturers, Chad Moutry, and our very own Chief Data Scientist, Lou Zhang. And they're going to uncover recent trends and insights in their proprietary data sets. And you can register for that now at machinemetrics.com/events. For an inside look at what's happening in manufacturing right now and what you can expect on the second half of this year. For MachineMetrics, we have a lot of exciting things going on right now. For those who haven't heard the big news yet, last week we finally shared that MachineMetrics raised a $20 million Series B fund, round of funding, and with the support of Teradyne and Universal Robots as the lead investor. So this round of funding cements MachineMetrics as the leader in our space, and now looking into the future. So we'll use those funds to help us continue to realize our vision, building the operating system for the autonomous factory. And it also means acceleration for us, more people, resources, growth, and scaling out globally so we can meet the demand for usable, actionable machine data and insights. So thank you to everyone for your support from our team members, our customers, investors, family, friends, and of course, the manufacturing community. We wouldn't be here without you. So what I'll do now, I wanted to show a quick video of MachineMetrics. It's a great overview of what we're all about.
Manufacturing produces more data than any other major industry in the world, yet has been slow to adopt the digital mindset transforming industries like agriculture, banking, and healthcare. Manual data collection is time-consuming, inaccurate. Operating on gut instinct alone leads to inefficiencies and poor decision-making that affect every component of the company's operation, from significant downtime to production losses. We're in the age of Industry 4.0. Manufacturers need every edge they can get to stay competitive. Real-time actionable data is that edge. Your machines generate hundreds of data points every millisecond, all of which tell a story of what happened in the past, what's happening now, and what will happen next. It's time you harness that data and jump-started your factory's digital transformation. MachineMetrics provides an intuitive, flexible monitoring platform that easily collects data from any piece of manufacturing equipment and transforms it into powerful, actionable insights. Why does MachineMetrics succeed where so many others have failed? The key is in our ease of use, time to value. The MachineMetrics IoT platform is easy to install and implement. You'll start visualizing data in a matter of hours. Plug-and-play edge connectivity harnesses and standardizes machine data across your entire fleet. Our intuitive, out-of-the-box apps are easy to use, drive rapid improvements in efficiency. Training is minimal. Real-time shop floor dashboards, machine production and condition monitoring, historical reporting, and automated alerts instantly enable visibility and analytics to help your team understand the big picture. Build your own apps or seamlessly connect with your current shop floor systems to easily integrate machine data across your digital factory. MachineMetrics will help your team deliver the right information to the right person at the right time. Identify potential bottlenecks before they occur. Update cycle time standards in real time to improve pricing and scheduling. Detect anomalies and predict maintenance events before they cause downtime. Empower your workforce with step-by-step instructions to optimize processes. Enable lights-out manufacturing with remote monitoring and alarm notifications. With MachineMetrics, any manufacturer can start leveraging their machine data immediately to drive improvements and provide the foundation for scaling data across their operations. It's time to start transforming your factory, all with the click of a button. Harness the power of machine data so it can become your competitive advantage.
All right. That was a quick overview. What I'll do now is jump into a presentation that focuses more on the details, of course. Sorry about that. Yeah, so MachineMetrics came together in 2015 to transform manufacturing, and looking at all the automated manufacturing equipment and the people who operate the equipment, representing really the beating heart of the manufacturing operation, and representing the largest capital expense, with the machines being in the range of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and producing more data than any other in the industry. We recognize that it's been difficult to capture the data and analyze it in a way that can add value for manufacturing organizations, even despite all the innovations that have been developed around automation and robotics. And so today, manufacturing is consumed still by so many manual processes that lead to inefficiencies. And so we have a benchmarking report that states the starting utilization when we onboard our customers is below 30%. And that number is still valid today through 2021. So the question is, how do you, take the opportunity to improve your business? Is it IoT? Is it Industrial 4.0? Is that really the silver bullet that's going to solve all your problems? And the reality is that the implementation of IoT solutions more often than not fail. And the reasons why are due to the complexities of connecting diverse equipment. A lot of times there's years of custom development and integration that are required before you can obtain any initial value. So in order to reach that digital factory, we know the process has to be easier to get there. And that's really why we built MachineMetrics. We're manufacturing's industrial IoT platform built specifically for machines. So the whole concept is that we make it very easy to capture and transform data from manufacturing equipment and make that data actionable through increased visibility, predictive analytics, and configurable workflows. And the whole goal is to automate the operation and the processes around machines. And we look at it as building the operating system for the autonomous factory. Now, over the past 6 years, we've connected thousands of machines across hundreds of different customers worldwide, focused in discrete manufacturing. And so we touch industries from medical device manufacturing to automotive, aerospace and defense, oil and gas, industrial components, heavy industries, and many more. And those companies range from small single plant machine shops all the way up to global manufacturers. Today, we have one of our customers actually joining us today, Mike Tomasi from AccuRounds, and he could speak to some of the elements of implementing MachineMetrics, but I wanted to review what the basics are. And really the first step is to connect your machines using our edge device. And we do that either directly to a machine, a control, or a network of machines. And typically with modern equipment, that process is going to be really easy, taking, maybe in the range of about 30 minutes to connect your automated manufacturing equipment. And our edge device, which is the green box that you see there, can be connected directly to the machine control, or it can incorporate sensors using an I/O device. So whether you're connected to a legacy piece of equipment or a more modern piece of equipment, we could pull data in a variety of different ways. And you could also supplement the data from your machine control with additional data collection methods. So that data is transformed automatically into a standard data structure. So no matter how you're integrated, what level of data we're collecting, we allow you to perform analytics across all of your equipment. So Mike, one of the questions I think would be helpful for our viewers today, looking at your machine set, you guys obviously have a mix of equipment. Was that a concern for you guys going into this, looking for the right solution to fit your machine fleet?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Morning, everyone. Certainly, we needed a platform that would be able to handle all the different types of equipment that we have, and we have CNC Swiss machines, lathes, as well as millers connected to MachineMetrics. I can speak a little bit to the upfront implementation. We met with MachineMetrics, I think, Eric, right when you guys launched. Right. Back in 16, 17, and the product was new. We weren't ready. So a couple of years later, MachineMetrics came in, made their pitch, and it really, we saw the advancements that were made. We were ready to implement. We had to make sure our team was ready. So from an implementation standpoint, the connectivity is fairly straightforward, as you just explained. But we started small. We currently have 25 machines. We have 27 machines connected. But we started with 10. We started with 10 of the more productive machines in the shop that we think would be more successful, more in the green than not, and around team members that would tend to embrace the technology out of the gate. Although that's probably the biggest challenge, is making sure that individuals and team members understand we're not tracking them, we're tracking the process. Exactly.
And then in terms of your plant's readiness, to implement MachineMetrics, we talked to a lot of prospects who are trying to figure out if they're ready or not. And one of the biggest aspects of that is networking. And so, was that one of the areas you knew you guys had to get in place before you were able to take advantage of MachineMetrics?
Yeah, we had a decent network in place, but we've since upgraded our systems to handle all the information that we're gathering now. So certainly you have to have that infrastructure in place. Mm-hmm. And, as far as us making the decision to move forward with a machine monitoring system, it's all about, we talk about facts and data, and having real-time data at every team member's fingertips so they can have information to make better decisions faster is critical in remaining and having a competitive advantage in our industry.
Excellent. Well, and I'll get into some more of the basics of our architecture, but essentially, once your machines are connected, that data is streamed from the MachineMetrics edge up to our cloud data infrastructure. And so that's designed specifically for machines and the high volume of diagnostic and sensor data that's associated with those machines. So what you get is operational data that's layered on top of the machine data to add additional context. So not only do you know, the machine conditions, but you also know the status of that machine, right? Is the machine in setup? Is it down for maintenance? How many parts have been produced at any point within the shift? And so also we use patterns within the data to help generate insights and initiate actions through what we call no-code configurable workflows. And so we have a variety of different triggers that can be set up to send out notifications or initiate entirely new processes. And we have a lot of those built into MachineMetrics. So Mike, obviously going through that digital transformation, thinking about the processes you might have had in place versus looking at data or using the data to initiate that process. Is that kind of a step within management where you guys had to implement those new processes and gradually kind of take steps in that direction? Could you talk a little bit about how you guys implemented those changes?
Yeah, first off, there was the upfront education of our coordinators on the floor and our production and operations team and understanding the system. And then, working with everybody individually on the floor at their tablet, helping to explain what each metric means and what that's telling them about the process. Because initially you do get that hesitation and, hey, what's this? The changes, people kind of confront that a little concerning wise. And, right. We got past that. And when they saw that, we weren't going after individuals if we were in the red or in the orange, it's really understanding the process. And them realizing that there was a tool to help them make their jobs better, easier, and get the decisions faster. And with the assistance of MachineMetrics and the quick tool guides you provide us, they have their cheat sheets on the floor. It took a while, but I think starting slow and then building from 10 to ultimately to 20 to 25 was the right way for us to proceed with the implementation.
Awesome. Yeah, we have a fantastic team of customer success managers who work directly with our customers to do exactly what Mike is talking about. Take you step by step through that process of the implementation, and then also using more and more of our product to optimize your processes internally. What Mike was talking about with the tablets was one of our out-of-the-box applications that allows you to drive value really quickly. What it does is it solicits feedback from the operators to allow you to gain additional context of what's happening on the shop floor around your machines, and identify those areas where you might be struggling productivity. We also have configurable reports that allow you to surface trends and things like utilization, OEE, and downtime. And then we have custom factory applications and integrations into other systems that are built by some of our customers, some of our partners, and those provide additional value using that machine data. So we host those as well on MachineMetrics, and we look at it as building an ecosystem of software development with developers that are really passionate about solving manufacturing problems the same way our founders were. So this is an example of a typical implementation of MachineMetrics. So obviously, have a few different elements, with the dashboard being on the shop floor for that enhanced visibility, and also having those tablets down at the machine. But we do start with a baselining activity before we even get to that point. So there are a few milestones, and as Mike talked about, taking a step-by-step approach, we work in the direction of adopting the use of that data as time goes on, and as your people get trained and more involved with that. So of course, some of the use cases, right, as a manufacturing executive, you have the data to monitor capacity. You can justify capital equipment expenditures and use benchmarking data to compare performance against other players in the industry with the same types of operations. And then we also have, obviously, going to real-time data, as Mike had said, on those dashboards. It just makes the decision-making so improved and so more rapid that you can really have that agile operation that everybody talks about when you go to digital transformation. So we see on average about a 20% uptick in throughput and productivity once those elements hit the shop floor. Mike, I know you guys saw some drastic improvements in your operations as well. Can you talk a little bit about what the impact was, kind of looking at before and after the implementation of MachineMetrics?
Sure. One of the simplest things that I love about MachineMetrics is just the colors. I think human nature wants you to be green. I've got actually a screen in my office. I've got the dashboard up right now. I count how many grays because I want to make sure that machines are running. It's not because of lack of work, it's a lack of people, but the desire to be green just drives that improvement, and the desire to understand why you're not green. We did see just over a 20% increase in OEE. We saw a reduction in tool spend, 15 to 20% out of the gate. Our past dues dropped dramatically. We saw an increase in our on-time delivery that kind of coincides one with the other. Even our turnover rate, which has always been pretty low, is even lower, well below 5%. So, pretty solid metrics. And to be honest, I think we're still a couple of years in, still scratching the surface of what this tool can do for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll speak to it at the end of the presentation, but we're even finding more and more opportunities, it feels like, on a daily or weekly basis to extend our data to other, best breed systems. And one of the things that's awesome about MachineMetrics is the ability to really automate the transfer of data from an ERP and then back into the ERP. So if you have those manual processes in place right now, they're taking a lot of time. There's manual manipulation of data. Obviously with human error, it can make it difficult to keep that accuracy level up. Mike, is that one thing that you guys saw going to MachineMetrics is an improvement in the accuracy of tracking your performance and using that real machine data?
Yes, and one of the common data points that we look at is downtime. So tracking the reasons for downtime. We actually did manual machine monitoring. We started about 10 or 12 years ago, well before MachineMetrics. And if we just looked at the time that we had spreadsheets every hour, our team members were calculating the math for productivity and OEE, and then we were collecting it, entering it into an Excel spreadsheet, doing Pareto analysis. I mean, all that's gone away. Now it's instant. So all that non-value added activity, and by the way, we're getting data a day later or 2 days later.
Right.
It's been a huge, huge difference for us to having access to that information real time to
Fantastic.
make better decisions.
That's great. And that's a common story across so many of the customers we work with, that true transformation to that digital factory. So going above and beyond, the impact we have on the shop floor with regard to productivity, we also have a condition monitoring side to our product that allows folks like manufacturing engineers to understand root cause of problems, and they can access that data remotely across all your machine conditions, and they can see that historically or in real time. Obviously, with the last year of the pandemic, having remote access to that data is more important than ever. And then going forward, we can also set up those workflows so that maintenance managers can be notified. Let's say if a machine signals a critical alarm or a sensor value is exceeds a certain threshold. And then what we can even do is feed that data into a third-party system like a CMMS to automate maintenance workflows. So I'll talk about extending the capabilities of MachineMetrics into other systems. That's one of the big areas. So one of the advanced capabilities we have in that machine health side is our ability to capture data at a high frequency. And we could do that without any additional sensors on some machines. Some machines may require those sensors, but we can detect patterns in the data that predict problems before they occur on the machine. So looking at things like tool failures and defects, right? What we do is we can deploy an algorithm to that edge to help control that machine. So we have a handful of customers who are saving a lot of money every month by stopping machines before making bad parts. So that's really the ultimate level to get to when we talk about the autonomous factory. And what we can do is we can actually deploy those applications on our edge platform at scale. We have another customer example, Avaline Technologies. They actually rolled out MachineMetrics, and within a few months, they did the same thing as Mike, looking at a smaller group of machines, focusing on a specific area. They quickly realized the impact and scaled to the rest of the machine fleet. So within a first year, the impact that they had was, in the millions of dollars, and some of the same type of impact that Mike talked about too, with the increase in OEE, reduction of downtime, and then also they were really able to have a huge impact in increasing their capacity and throughput. So when you think about the financial opportunity there to improve your operations, your profitability, the sky is really the limit in terms of what opportunities are out there. So wrapping up, MachineMetrics is really the machine data component of the digital factory. So we empower the digital thread, and we're connecting to those other best of breed systems, providing that real-time data throughout the entire product lifecycle, from design to production, through quality, maintenance, and even logistics. So when we talk about the operating system of the autonomous factory, this is essentially what we're talking about. And as Mike said, just scratching the surface as a customer, we're also doing the same in terms of opportunities to extend our data into other platforms. So that's really the overview of MachineMetrics. What I'm going to do now is switch gears to the platform, and I'll run through a few of the basics so that viewers can see the tools that customers like Mike uses on a daily basis. A few things to focus on initially. We're going to be looking at how do we improve visibility. We talk about real-time data, the dashboards that go up on the shop floor, the tablets down at the machine, and some of the reporting. This is an example of a dashboard, a current shift dashboard that would be viewed down on the shop floor or in a high visibility area. And so what most of our customers focus on to start is utilization. We'll baseline utilization for them. We'll allow them to set goals. And that's really what's going to drive the ability to improve their operations. So here, each one of these rectangles, each one of these tiles represents the machines on the shop floor. And those machines can be organized the same way you might have them in the shop, or split off by value stream, machine type. However you'd like to compare performance, you have the ability to do that within the MachineMetrics environment. You also can track different KPIs, as you saw me switching from OEE to utilization. We also have parts goal and downtime. And so those will give you different levels of performance visibility, being able to track not only our machines running as often as we'd like, but are they hitting our productivity goals? So a few elements to these tiles. I mentioned having the ability to understand the live status of the machines. And the color schemes that Mike highlighted, we do that within our status to start, so that you could see, okay, is my machine being productive? If so, it'll show in green. If it's gone idle, it'll show in blue. We can also track when a machine's in setup or alarming out. And then, of course, if a machine's not being productive or becomes disconnected, it'll show in gray as well. The center performance tile is going to indicate if you're hitting your goals for that KPI. So we do that by tracking the percentage, as well as having a visualization of that performance level. So we call this the progress wheel. And basically the white circle is the optimal performance level for that KPI. The dark region, think of it as the hand on a clock progressing as the job progresses as well. You ultimately want to have that white circle line up with that dark region. So at 94%, you can see we're pretty close. We're also tracking how many parts are being produced versus how many have been expected. And the way that we track against a job standard is we actually import those standards from a system like an ERP and allow you to really keep tabs on how many parts behind are you for that job. Now, these goals are basically thresholds that can be established, in a flexible way. So to start out, you may be a little bit more conservative and move towards more aggressive goals. And you have the ability to set those on a machine job basis, depending on the different KPIs. But from this view, we also have an hourly performance histogram, which is going to allow, the supervisor, if they see a job getting in jeopardy, like we see here on 105, they can actually drill down into the machine timeline and understand what happened over the course of that job to start. Giving you a more detailed look at the data, what's happening on the machine. Can see they had an alarm this morning, which lasted, close to a half hour. So now we're having a more proactive conversation about what's going on with the machines, instead of going on a fact-finding mission, pulling operators away from productive activities. So we have that theme throughout MachineMetrics, where we start at a high level to understand the trends and then allow you to dig deep into the details as well. I'm going to jump over to our operator interface and show you how our operators add context to downtime events. And so each machine is going to have a designated tablet posted at the machine. And when the machine stops being productive, MachineMetrics can detect that and prompt the operator to tag that downtime event. And so what we do is our customer success manager will work with your team to populate a list of downtime categories. And you can even have subcategories within a particular topic. So if you wanted to have elements around, quality, production, maintenance, you could break them up that way as well. But the key is the context of this data getting into the system so that you can identify the trends and focus on really the impactful areas to improve your operations. Not only will this help surface that through historical data, but we can also drive action through the tablets to address those downtime events. So a great example is when a machine goes idle, an operator would be prompted, as you see right here, to tag that downtime event. And let's say they're missing material at the machine. They can click that reason on, I have a lack of material. I need some stainless down at the machine. They submit that with just a couple touches of the screen, and now they can set off a workflow that's going to send out either a text or email notification. Can also be used to set off a work order in a third-party system. So that way there's action being created in an automated way without having to, walk around the shop, send out emails, pick up the phone. So we find that to be a huge value add down on the shop floor. What you're also seeing here is a variety of different data that's delivered to the operator down at the machine. So they're looking at those same type of KPIs, but they have a more focused view so that they can really own the performance of that job on the machine. So looking at utilization, they're going to dig down into, okay, how are my cycle times matching up versus what our job standard might be? They'll also have a version of that progress wheel, the same color schemes. Are we hitting our goals or not? And then have an hourly histogram as well. They'll have access to previous downtime events that have been tagged. And in cases where we can pull active alarms, they'll have access to those as well. And then can even see how they're trending with regard to a parts goal. Now I'm being prompted to tag a downtime event because this machine is actually, this data is being pulled from a real machine and the machine's gone idle. Above and beyond that, if an operator wants to run multiple machines, sometimes they'll have the dashboard in the area so that they can understand where their attention is needed. And then also they might have this blown up version of those cycle times. So if they start to see them trend in a wrong direction, they can take action on that as soon as possible. We have the same type of workflow to be able to tag part rejections and can even track performance on an operator level. So some of our customers will use that data to incentivize operators with a goal around those KPIs. Okay, if we hit that 80% utilization mark for a month or a quarter, maybe have some type of celebration or some type of incentive tied to that. And our customer success team works with you to come up with some ideas around those things as well. So jumping over from the operator interface, I'll focus now on some of the reports. These are all out of the box. And I'll start with the downtime Pareto. So this is really a combination of the data that's going to be input through that operator interface, and just makes it really easy to surface the trends with regard to why are machines stopping and how often is it happening. So we have the ability to pull that data in terms of time consumed and also how many occurrences. So this is a true downtime Pareto. And if I want to see, okay, which machines are impacted most, we look back at last month, which machine was impacted most by lack of material at the machine. So we can see really easily, right, that we lost almost 16 hours over that month on CNC 190 due to material handling. That's a huge, benefit to knowing, hey, if that's that machine's in the corner of the shop, we need to do a better job of flowing material that way. Or maybe we need to set up one of those workflows to automate the delivery of material to that machine. We also have the ability to do the same thing around, setups, inspections, right? Be able to understand maybe where there's some opportunity for training. Maybe you have some more senior level operators versus some of the lower level ones, right? So this will help you identify those trends across all of your machines and all of your shifts. Or you could get more specific around certain areas if you want to compare and contrast as well by sorting by machine group or by shift, or even looking at a certain data set, filtering out a particular keyword. one of the main themes of MachineMetrics is getting the right data into the right people's hands. So this tool that you see at the bottom here allows us to toggle the different categories on and off, so that when you're sharing this data with someone in maintenance, they may not care about material handling or inspection of parts, right? So they really want to focus on those KPIs, those categories of downtime that they have control over, and this enables that. Last report I'll focus on is a newer one. So what we've done at MachineMetrics is we started to consolidate the separate KPI reports into this flexible report builder. And what that really allows, again, is getting that data into the right person's hands and allowing them to filter out the items that are going to impact their ability to improve performance the most. So whether they're focused on which hours of the day are most productive, as you see here, whether that's looking at it on a utilization and time and cycle basis, being able to filter by the bottom performers, or they could do the same for the number of parts that are produced within the same aggregation. So can focus across a whole machine group again, or drill down into individual machines, compare performance by shift, or even different times of the day. I also queried a shift report here so that over the last month, I could look at, okay, which jobs or which shifts are struggling the most to meet our goals in terms of the expectations for the cycles on those machines, right? So we have an expected part-time, but maybe we're exceeding that, or maybe we're beating that expected cycle time, and we're really not profiting as much as we could. So this is going to allow you to surface those trends, understand where your bottom performers are, and also allow you to understand, hey, where are we going way above and beyond what our expectations are? So that way you can either be more competitive, capture more profit, or again, use that data to drive how you designate the work throughout your shop. So Mike, I'm assuming that you guys have used reports like this to kind of find those areas of inefficiency on your floor, implement some changes maybe based on jobs that have done better than others. Can you talk a little bit to those points?
Yeah, we drill down. Our ops people look at the reports daily. They're looking for trends on machines. We don't have just one way to process a part. We're a contract manufacturer, so we have different platforms. So we may see if we move a job from one platform to another, that may provide a different opportunity for us. I will say this: we're generating so much data through MachineMetrics that we don't have the staff right now to handle it all. And we've discussed we've had some of our team members take data analytics classes, and we may have a role for a part-time or even a full-time data analyst at some point, which is something unique to our industry and our history, but not going forward. I think it's going to change because of these types of technologies. So the reports are tremendous. They're good on the floor to have dialogue with individual machinists to show them some trends as well. We can just kind of click right down on a tablet. Again, it's a daily use for us, but a lot more for us to learn as well.
Awesome. So moving on from reports, a couple of the last things I'll show are surrounding the health side of machines. So keeping an eye on machine alarms. I talked about drive and actionability around different conditions, different alarms that occurred on the machine. So just to give you an example of how easy that is with MachineMetrics, if I want to be able to create one of those workflows, it's as easy as pulling in that alarm data from this workflow screen, populating those fields, and then adding in the actions to send out those notifications to the designated individual. So it only takes a matter of seconds, really. And if you're looking to do this in a more horizontal system, you're going to have to do things like implement code, write scripts, right? And it takes a long time to develop. Here, we're down and dirty, we're fast. We can use not only alarms as triggered events, but I also mentioned the ability to look at downtime categorization. So use the example of having a lack of material at the machine. Same type of deal. driving notifications from that, and even being able to escalate those notifications as time goes on. So you may have a text that goes out instantly once that event occurs, whether it's downtime, an alarm, an anomaly, and then escalate through our workflows after, let's say, 20 minutes to someone on the supervisor or management level. So nothing's going to really happen on the shop floor now without having visibility of that and even being able to take action of it. And this is the same area where we'd be able to push webhooks to a third-party system like a CMMS to be able to generate work orders for the maintenance team as well. So we could tie this again to alarms, anomalies. You can have scheduled events. So on a shift-by-shift basis, if you guys want to set up, cleaning activities, inspection activities, those types of things, you can get them set that way as well. And then we even have the ability to focus on very specific metrics within the machine data and establish those thresholds. So a couple of examples would be around feed rate. So this is an example of the data that we can pull on the machine health side, looking at all those metrics. I mentioned feed rate, load, right? Some customers even look at temperature, those types of things, and they'll drive actionability around those elements that indicate the health and performance of the machine. And that can be visualized through our diagnostic timeline as well. I mentioned the condition monitoring side of our product. This is essentially the ability to drill down on a cycle-by-cycle basis and understand what's impacting the performance of that machine. Let's say you had a catastrophic failure. It's kind of a forensic crumb trail to go back and see, maybe the load had spiked at a time when it alarmed out, understanding, if you have one of those randomly occurring alarms, maybe what tools running, what kind of program was running on that machine. So gives you a lot more context to what's happening on the machine when you have those level of failures. Last thing I want to talk about is just our ability to extend data in unique ways to third-party systems. So we actually have a number of different tools that our customers will leverage to customize visualizations of the data. So this is an example of a customer with 8 different plants, and they really wanted to keep an eye on capacity so that they knew where to send work when new jobs came in. And they had a challenge in that they were really looking at standing up a new facility because they were maxed out on capacity according to what everyone was telling them at these plants. So through implementation of MachineMetrics, they were actually able to save millions of dollars by squeezing more capacity out of their existing equipment. And but still today, they haven't had to stand up that facility due to their ability to be more efficient and track these KPIs like utilization goal, like you see here. And they actually have a KPI of tracking downtime as well by plant, by machine line. A couple other examples. So these are BI tools which can leverage our APIs and push our data in unique ways into these types of automatically updating reports. So it's an example where a customer wanted to compare first versus second shift performance in terms of utilization, have a kind of a heat map in terms of the machine performance on a day, week, month, and annual basis. And then also see those variances. I talked about keeping track of, cycle times versus expectations. This is a visualization of that, as well as setups on a outlier basis. So what's our worst setup, over a given time period? What are our variances in terms of setup as well? So a lot of capabilities with what we can do with the data and where we can push it outside of MachineMetrics to give you guys the unique value that you're looking for. So that's really going to wrap up the overview of MachineMetrics. I know it's taken a lot of time here, so I appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. So I'll go ahead and stop my share now, because I know, Haley, your team has a lot that they want to get to.
Yeah, but before you do that, though, Justin, there is a question. It says, can you show a screen the shop floor personnel use to enter the reasons for downtime? Do you have that available to kind of show that?
I had shown that earlier. So
yeah, do you mind going
this
back?
is exactly what will happen on that tablet. So we recognize the machine has gone idle, and this screen populates and allows them to tag that downtime event.
Okay.
They click on that category, can add additional notes, and then submit that downtime event. So it's really only a couple of clicks of the screen.
Okay. So, and there are two other questions. I don't know, I think maybe that's where Ron was going to. So he said, one of the questions is, so the system, and this might be you and Mike that can answer this, the system must rely on the discipline of the shop floor personnel to enter accurate data.
So I would preface that by saying that's really where those categories come into play, making them as specific as you can, so that they don't have to sit there and type something in. They're just hitting the screen. And Mike, maybe you can speak to that point. We really want to make it as easy as possible for them to get that context around the stoppages on the shop floor.
Yeah, the ability to customize is great, which is, and especially from a downtime standpoint, we made a couple of shifts, adds and deletes along the way here. But what's great about the system is the operator basically clicks the job, he clicks setup and production, and you're off and running. Everything is automatically captured because you're dialed directly into PLC of the machine. That's the beauty of the software.
Awesome. The last question we have is, can the data be reported out on an SPC chart with control limits?
Yeah, so we have very powerful APIs that allow us to query data really in infinite ways. And what that allows us to do is merge data with other data sets, like an SPC set. We have customers who do everything from populating those BI screens that I showed you to also populating spreadsheets. So, getting the data out of MachineMetrics and into, merging it with existing data is absolutely something we can do. And if you want to look at it, the diagnostic data and query that on a very minute basis, we do have the ability to look at that health data by individual metric and allow you to kind of pull it into that SPC level, so you could see the trends as well throughout the performance of the machine.
So this question came in, it says, how many people will they have to hire to manage the data output?
Yeah, that was directed to us. We're a 75 team member company. We have not hired anybody yet, but as we continue to add machines and add data, I foresee either committing some current team members' time, half a day or so, to data analysis, not only for this, but for other software systems that we have generating data, or we could hire an individual that's full-time on IT that has this task as part of their daily duties.
All right.
Looks like we had another question from Ellen Ellsworth asking about generating alarms based on high load, coolant, RPM. We can tie thresholds to any metric and drive alarm status, using a threshold for that particular metric. Any data point that we can pull from the machine, if it gets outside of a certain range, we can drive that alarm state for that, and even send out those workflows and notifications to identify it. So you'd have the alarm state on the current shift dashboard, and then you'd also have the status within that diagnostic set. So I'm going to have to wrap up here, guys, so we can let the MEP folks talk about how they can help you get into MachineMetrics and some of the great things they have going on with the grant programs. Appreciate all of the questions, and thanks so much for allowing us to present. And Mike, thanks so much for your interaction as well.
Yeah. Thank you guys both. Thank you both. And now we become the meshing part, and that's why we bring our professional in, Lisa Oden. She's going to talk to you about and tell you how we get connected with MachineMetrics and how we get you in there. So Lisa, the floor is yours.
Hey, this is great stuff, and I'm so glad to be part of this conversation here today. So if this sounded interesting to you and you want to check it out, there are ways that you can do that through some grant funding provided through the state of Massachusetts through the Workforce Training Fund. And the Workforce Training Fund, if you're not familiar with it, is for all businesses of all sizes in Massachusetts, but they really do focus on the small to medium-sized businesses. The caveat of that, of course, is that you must be paying into the Massachusetts unemployment system in order to qualify. However, there are a couple of different kinds of programs that will probably suit this training more. And so one is a consortium grant, in particular for single topic like this, which is actually a type of their general grant program. But just think about consortium grants for now. These grants are for businesses of all sizes, and you can actually apply for up to $250,000 of training total in these. In this type of grant, again, it's people think of these as sort of free money, but what you're doing is you're investing your employees' time. So the time that they are in the training counts towards the match of the training fund. So if your training totals $20,000 that you're applying for, then your employee time also needs to equal $20,000 or more. But the consortium grant, I'll get into a little bit more detail about those in a minute. They're a great way for a group of companies to band together, for a single topic or for a variety of topics. The Express program has actually just undergone a variety of different changes. It used to only be available to companies with under 100 employees or less, but as of today, July 1st, it is now available to all businesses. If you have 100 or fewer employees, it is now 100% reimbursable. Used to be 50% reimbursable, but it's 100% reimbursable now. If you have more than 100 employees, it's 50% reimbursable. And under this fund, you can apply for up to $30,000 per company per year, and or $3,000 per person per course of training. Next. So this gets into a little more of the details of the differences and that kind of thing of the two different grants, or a comparison, I will say. There are great reasons to do each one of these trainings. And under the who can apply, we've pretty much talked about that, again, that it's companies of any size can apply for either one. You must be paying into the unemployment system, and you must have all your obligations to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts met, because you will be required to get a certificate of good standing as part of the application process. If you talk about what must a company contribute, again, the general grant, you have to match dollar for dollar. We talked about the 100% reimbursement in the Express grant for 100 or fewer employees, and the 50% reimbursable for 100 or more. What can be paid for using the grant funds? So in a consortium grant, you can determine training from a variety of different sources and vendors. And there's a lot of flexibility built into those particular grants. In the Express grant, you will be choosing from their database, their Express grant directory, which can be found online, and you can search for topics there. I believe that this training is one that you can find in the Express grant, so that's all good. We did talk about the grant limits here. The general grant, it ranges from anywhere from $10,000 to $250,000. And the Express grant is $30,000. The applications are available online. That's the next little bullets down there. And here's the beautiful thing about this. We help you with the process. We've been doing it for quite a long time. We have a lot of experience with it. And so we can help walk you through the process. There are no specific deadlines for the consortium grant. They're done on a rolling basis, but it does take up to 2 months for approval. In the Express grant, it's a 21-day turnaround time. The reason they call it Express. So both of these grants are basically for a 2-year time frame. Like, a consortium grant runs for 2 years. If you complete it before that, that's fine. And with an Express grant, again, once the training starts, That funding is available to you for a two-year time frame to complete that training. Again, usually those are completed in a much shorter window. Next. So with the training consortium, I just want to say a little bit more about that. It's, again, a group of companies who are like-minded in what they are looking for training. And we've done a lot of variety of consortium grants, and companies have actually, in addition to the training, found an added value of the networking that comes in working in a grant in this way, as well as the exposure to additional ideas and thoughts and perspectives from people outside your own company. With a training grant, consortium grant, MassMEP develops and submits that grant and manages the ongoing administrative work. I just mentioned the networking opportunities. Training cost is minimal. So when we say training cost is minimal, there is no cost for the training. However, sometimes if the meeting time runs through lunchtime, the companies all take a turn on paying for lunch. So that might be a minimal cost there. But you will also be asked to provide KPIs. And so this is just a nice listing of some of the things that you're going to experience from what Justin just presented, for one thing, but there are also things that you could include as part of your KPIs in the grant reporting. Next. So what would you need to do? The responsibilities of a company participating in a consortium would be to sign a letter of commitment and then commit to the training plan. You would need to obtain a certificate of good standing. If you're part of a union, you need a union letter of support. Then you would go ahead and choose the courses. In this case, MachineMetrics would clearly be one of them. You would need to collaborate with the MassMEP grant writing team to develop the grant and provide those measures and goals and metrics, or KPIs, that we just talked to as well. And when you are involved with MassMEP, it also means that you are agreeing to participate in our third-party survey process as well. Next. So if you're thinking that you want to participate in a consortium, you would let us know. That's basically what this is about. You would identify the person in your company that's going to work with us on this. You would go ahead and get that certificate of good standing and that letter of union support, and then go ahead and identify the KPIs. I think I'm just repeating myself now. Must be I want you to remember that. Next. So the Express grant, and again, I say they call this an Express grant for a reason. Actually, Ron and I just submitted an Express grant with a client this morning, and it took, I think it was 23 minutes from start to finish. So like I said, it was very quick. You go into the directory, you pick a course. You have to have your certificate of good standing already and all available, and then you apply for the funding. And like I said, it's a very quick time to fill out the application, and it'll take, about a month for the award process. And then after you've accepted the award, you go ahead and conduct the training and then request reimbursement. These Express grants are done on a reimbursement basis. So you do need to pay for it up front and then provide the invoice to be reimbursed on them. Next. That's it. So I'm the grant person, and Ron Giard is going to close out this meeting, I believe, today. And he's actually the point of contact for this MachineMetrics event. It's all yours, Ron.
Thank you, Lisa. And I know we're past our time, so I'll go real quick. Again, my role in all of this is to follow up. So I'm going to follow up with all of you that attended today with an email, just to check in to see if you have any further questions. You don't have to wait for me. If you do, if there's interest, you can reach out to us and let us know, and we can give you more information. I do want to thank Justin. I want to thank Mike and the MassMEP team. Our goal here is, our mission, as a reminder, is at MassMEP is to support Massachusetts manufacturing. We are a nonprofit and we are funded through NIST. So as Lisa touched on, one of the things that's important to us is the surveys. So whether it's just an info session or an engagement, if you reach out and we do these types of things, at some point we will be reaching out to you to do a survey, and we'll be there to walk you through the survey as well. And again, that's critical to our funding each year. And we want to make sure we're hitting the mark with all of the companies and supporting manufacturing, and you are getting the value that you should be getting through this program. So with that, again, I will follow up at some point, but again, in the meantime, if you are interested, reach out to Justin, myself, anyone on the team here, and we'll be more than happy to get on the phone and talk through what options there are, both through the program as well as the grant funding. So with that, Haley, any final last questions?
No, we did. Well, we had one last question. Justin, did you see that? It says, does the training for MachineMetrics include a license?
We do have a package that includes machine licenses, so we can talk to you about those details. Ron's really the best contact. We've just updated our offering for this express grant as well, so we can run through the details with anyone who's interested in those aspects of the grant.
Yeah, so today is the first day of the new Express Grant program. So for those of you that have not done it yet, like Lisa said, it's super easy and simple, and we strongly encourage you to get involved and take advantage of it. For those that are under 100 employees, it's your money. You put it in there, so find a way to get it back. And it basically, you're circling it back into your employees for the retention of keeping your staff. So that's the way to go. So use it, jump in and reach out to us. And I think that's it. So thank you, Mike, for being our special guest. We appreciate it. Thank you, Justin, for awesome content today. Great information. We really appreciate it. And for Ron and Lisa, and we'll let everybody go and have a great lunch, and we'll see everybody next time.
Great. Thank you all. Take care, everyone.